Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're joined by George Kramer, a new board member for the Oregon Cultural Trust. George, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Natalie.
Absolutely. So you've had sort of a passion for this for a while. You were just appointed to this position by the governor. Can you tell me how your past experiences have gotten you here?
I've worked for almost 30 years as a restoration professional all over the Northwest in Oregon. I was on the Oregon Heritage Commission for a decade, its chair for 4 years, and the Cultural Trust is made up of 5 partners, one of which is the Heritage Commission, so I know them well, and I was honored to be asked to serve on the board.
Why is the board's work important to Oregonians?
The Cultural Trust is a unique Oregon thing. Basically, it was established by the legislature 15 years ago. Everyone in Oregon that supports any kind of cultural entity, a historical society, a performing arts, an opera, a genealogy group, and makes a donation, can make that same donation to the Cultural Trust and take it as a one-to-one tax credit. It's sort of like directing where your tax dollars go. And the state of Oregon has very generously agreed that this is important and that the state will forego a certain amount of tax income in order to support cultural arts and heritage in Oregon.
Do you consider yourself somewhat of a cultural advocate?
I end up professionally belonging to a lot of different cultural organizations. I think the arts and heritage are really important, especially in Oregon where we have so much change that we need to remind people of Oregon's history. And I think the arts are important, and they're under threat. And so this is a way that the state and Oregon citizens can choose to support those organizations.
So you mentioned the arts. What sort of items or things do you feel need to be advocated for?
Well, the Cultural Trust recognizes over 1,400 cultural partners throughout the state. Everything from local choirs to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, public television, the Oregon Historical Society, all of those things. And we include the humanities, arts, and culture. Those are the partnerships that create the Oregon Cultural Trust. And that's a really unique approach. Usually those things end up in silos and they don't work together. And Oregon, in its incredible way, has recognized that all of those things benefit from partnering with each other, and the Cultural Trust helps us do that.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kramer. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're joined by George Kramer with the Oregon Cultural Trust. So is Oregon the only state that has a cultural trust like this?
We are. We're the only state in the nation to support culture in this way with a tax credit.
So how much authority does the board have? Can you mandate that certain things need to be preserved?
No, we're a funding entity. People give us money. We put 40% into a permanent endowment, and the other 60% we send out to projects all over the state in response to people's requests for funding.
Are there certain areas that you feel just get overlooked that should be preserved?
Well, you know, I think that the biggest problem is people just aren't aware of the Cultural Trust, that they don't make that choice when they're filling out their taxes and make the donation. And I think that funding, potential recipients aren't aware that we're out there looking for their requests to help. But I think we do a pretty good job of funding arts, humanities, and heritage. That's our goal.
Kind of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, and then do you rely on those donations, or do you have a state budget as well?
We are entirely funded by the donations people give us.
Okay, so that's pretty important to
Yeah. We received almost $4 million last year statewide. We dispersed almost $3 million, $100,000 in Jackson and Josephine counties, and it varies depending on what kind of projects people from this area request.
Okay, and then what can people do to learn more information?
After you make a donation to a local heritage or cultural group of your choice, you can make the same amount of donation to the Cultural Trust by going to our website. And then that second donation to the Cultural Trust is a tax credit. Comes off the bottom of what you owe the state of Oregon when you fill out your income taxes.
Okay, and that's important to know this time
We'd
of
love
year.
for people to do that, you bet.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Kramer, thank you so much for joining us.
Natalie.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.